Now, of course, Sarah is the mother of Bridget Burgess. Both of them going to be racing against each other. Here's what they had to say about inspiring more women in motorsports.
I think it's a great opportunity. I hope that it influences other females to get more into racing and be more involved, whether it's to be mechanically wise on other teams or as a driver to be in racing. I think it will just be a huge influence for young females to get into.
I second that as well. I mean, it's so many more women getting involved with NASCAR from so many different levels, sitting on the pit box to marketing and so on. So encouraging more women to get involved and go outside their comfort zone and try something different is definitely what I'd love to be able to share that experience with everybody.
Now, Ben, Daniel, mother and daughter racing. We had a bunch of father and sons out there on the track get attention. How huge of a moment is this, especially in motorsports? You have a mother and a daughter racing on the same speedway.
Well, Joe, it's absolutely huge, not just for the Burgess family, not just for ARCA and NASCAR, but for all of motorsports. Like you mentioned, we've had plenty of fathers and sons. We've even had a father and daughter with Mike and Chrissy Wallace at Talladega in the Truck Series several years ago, but never a mother and a daughter. And that's going to change tonight. It almost changed earlier this year. I remember I was on this show for the first time in March or April, whenever it was. The series was the first time. Was visiting Irwindale for the first time this season, and Sarah was drafted into, I believe it was the '04 car as kind of a last-minute replacement driver for Tim Spurgeon, and that ended up being withdrawn. So this historic moment has been delayed a little bit. There was talks that maybe it was going to happen when the series came back to Irwindale this summer, but they took a little bit more time to get ready and prepare, and now it's going to happen tonight at the Las Vegas Bullring. But for the Burgess family in particular, this is a huge, huge moment. This is a family and a team that has, really done so much with, the limited resources that they have. Bridget's outperformed her equipment a couple of times this season, particularly on the road courses. Sarah's, hands-on and involved with the team as well. Most weekends she works as Bridget's crew chief, and Bridget is kind of a throwback back to the old days when everybody kind of owned their own cars and worked on their own cars. A lot of younger drivers coming up now, they're so focused on their driving. They're in a simulator all the time. They don't know as much about the ins and outs of the mechanics as Bridget does, because Bridget, being on a limited budget with not a whole lot of employees and team members, you see her on social media. She's out there working on her own cars every single weekend, getting them ready for these ARCA Menards Series West races. So it's a great, great moment for them. And then obviously the historical significance as well, to have a mother and a daughter on the same track racing against each other. It's absolutely huge. And like both of them said, I hope that a lot of women are going to be watching tonight and take this as inspiration, that there is a path forward for them in this sport. And if you work hard, you can achieve your dreams. That's exactly what the Burgess family has already done. And we'll see how they do tonight and take the next step forward in doing so as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the fact that Sarah really took her time to make her debut and to prepare, because they don't just want to make history and be on the same grid, but they really want to do it in a competitive environment and try to be competitive. So that's really great for the Burgess family, as Ben said. But I also think that I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that this is a world first. I mean, not only in ARCA or in the NASCAR-sanctioned events, but worldwide, because I cannot think right now of any other championship or moment when a daughter raced together with her mother. And as Ben said, we had plenty of father and sons. We did have some father and daughters, also, for example, in Formula Regional Asian Championship with Khaled Al Kubaisi and his two daughters, Amna and Hamda. But I cannot remember any single event where a mother and a daughter raced together. So that might be, I will have to check this, but I might well believe that this is a worldwide first for them, which is obviously absolutely great. And hopefully it will really show that it's motorsport is not just a thing that you do with with father and son, but also mother and daughters can be involved.
We have a much bigger field, Ben. Overall, when it comes to this race weekend, what do you anticipate? A top 10 finish for Bridget, or just trying to go out there, get some of the laps? Because we got a really big field for this race weekend.
Yeah, there is a really big field, 26 cars, which, first of all, I just have to say congratulations to ARCA and the West Series and everybody out there for going to be putting on a great show tonight. And to get the car counts back up, it's absolutely great to see. I'm sure being a companion week with the Cup Series helps. I know they're not racing on the mile-and-a-half track, but to be in Las Vegas with the Cup Series is certainly a big draw. I think that's part of why Sarah said they waited to not do it at Irwindale, but to do it here. It's a little bit of a bigger stage for them. But in terms of Bridget, obviously she's had the best season of her career so far. She equaled her best finish when we were out there, Joe, at Portland earlier this year. You see on the graphic, she had 5 top 10s coming into this season. She already has 4 this season, so she's almost doubled that amount. She's going for her 5th tonight. And I have to say, I'm not going to put it past her. I think, it's an attainable goal, and I'm sure she's going to go out there and try to run as hard as she can. But I think the bigger goal for the Burgess family tonight needs to just be to run all the laps and both be running at the checkered flag and finish the race, especially on the heels of what happened to Bridget a couple of weeks ago in the last West Series race where she barely made it the first dozen laps, got spun out, and then another competitor crashed into her because the caution was a little bit delayed. It was an unfortunate situation. I think after that, the goal just needs to be bring both cars home in one piece. I think that alone will be a success for them tonight. But that being said, you heard Sarah in the interview. If you watch the whole thing, the whole press conference, she's not just out there to log laps. She's going to go out there and drive as hard as she can. I know Bridget will do the exact same thing. So I think a top 10 for either of them tonight would be fantastic. But we do have to keep our expectations in check. There is a little bit of a larger field count tonight. So it's going to be a little bit of a taller order than it is, say, when you're on a road course and we only have roughly half the field size that we have now. But then again, I know they're going to be shooting high, and it is going to be, I think, an attainable goal. But at the same time, I think we shouldn't be too disappointed if it's not a top 10 for Bridget tonight. I think the bigger thing is just making history and going out there, hopefully bringing the cars home in one piece. That should be the end goal at the end of the day. Hey everyone, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you so much for watching. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Grid Network highlights and analysis. And for full episodes of Grid Live Encore and other Grid programming, subscribe directly to Grid Network.